These are extraordinary times. The warnings yesterday from the government's advisers were stark. They can't be ignored. Labour, at a time like this, will act in the national interest. We will be a constructive opposition. We will support whatever reasonable steps are necessary to protect lives and protect our NHS. But I also want to say this. There should be nothing inevitable about a second lockdown. It would be a sign of government failure, not an act of God. It would take an immense toll on people's physical and mental health and on the economy. We need a national effort to prevent a national lockdown. The Prime Minister has had months to prepare for this, but instead of getting a grip, the government lost control. Our testing system collapsed just when we needed it most. The British people want the government to succeed in fighting this virus. We all need the government to succeed. This is the time for leadership. Today, I want to set out how my leadership of this party, and in time, I hope, my leadership of this country, will be defined by the values I've held dear all my life, by the instincts and beliefs that have inspired me to become a lawyer fighting for justice, to become the Director of Public Prosecutions and into Labour politics. The thread that runs through my life and the belief that will inspire my leadership of this party is the desire to change lives for the better, the desire to make a difference to my country. This is a country that has given me so much. I'm thankful to the National Health Service that cared for my mum for much of her life, for the chance to be the first in my family to go to university, to go on, to practice the law, to have the privilege of leading the Crown Prosecution Service, to be able to give my parents what they said was one of the proudest moments in their lives, to be there with me at Buckingham Palace when I was awarded a knighthood for services to criminal justice. Family values mean the world to me. I was lucky enough to grow up in a loving family, and I have the great joy now of a family of my own. The mission of the Labour Party I lead is to extend that same opportunity to everyone. And my vision for Britain is simple. I want this to be the best country to grow up in and the best country to grow old in. A country in which we put family first. A country that embodies the values I hold dear. Decency, fairness, opportunity, compassion, and security. Security for our nation, our families, and for all of our communities. Sadly, we don't have a government that has such high standards. I'm hugely ambitious for this country. I think Britain has so much yet to achieve, and it angers me that this government is holding us back. I've tried to be constructive. I appreciate that these are unprecedented times and that governing is hard. I've tried to be fair, to give the government the benefit of the doubt. But now, with one of the highest death rates in the world, on the threshold of one of the deepest recessions anywhere, I'm afraid there is no doubt. This government's incompetence is holding Britain back. They couldn't get kids back to school in June. They couldn't work out a fair system to get exams marked. They couldn't get a protective equipment to care workers, and they wasted millions of your money in the process. Their failure to protect care homes is a national scandal, and they still can't organise a testing regime that's even serviceable, let alone world-beating. The reason this incompetence angers me is that I think of the sacrifices people have made. I think of the dedication of all those who've worked so hard to keep us safe. the families that had to stay apart, the grandparents unable to hold grandchildren for the first time, partners denied the chance to be present at scans and births, and in the most tragic circumstances, people robbed of the opportunity to say goodbye to those taken before their time. COVID has made us appreciate what we value, that family really does come first, always, and that the greatest contribution we can make is to care for one another, to be good neighbours, good citizens, to protect those in need and build strong communities. So, to all the care workers, the van drivers, the cleaners, the shop workers, and the lifesavers in the NHS, I just want to say, thank you. You changed lives for the better. You made a difference. And it makes me angry that just when this country needs leadership, we get serial incompetence. 6 months in, a cabinet chosen on loyalty alone shows no signs of having learned any lessons from the crisis. Here are 2 things I've learned. First, if you neglect your public services, you won't be ready when a crisis hits. Nobody blames the government for the existence of the virus, but the underfunding of the NHS, the abandonment of social care, and the lack of investment in prevention, that's all on their watch. That's all down to them. And it always ends this way with Tory governments. Public services are neglected, cut back, and left to decline. For a party called the Conservative Party, they don't seem to conserve very much.